Welcome back to the deep dive. So, you've joined us before as we've explored, different corners of Cole Porter's world.
We really have his life story, his career trajectory.
Yeah, and we've even zoomed right in on specific songs, picking them apart a bit.
And why not? There's so much there. The man, the music, the lyrics, endlessly fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But today, we're shifting gears. Taking a wider lens, we're doing a deep dive into an entire Cole Porter show.
Oh, exciting. Which one?
The big one, the classic, Anything Goes.
Ah, yes. Premiered in 1934. A real cornerstone of American musical theater, and it's had such staying power.
That's exactly the plan for this deep dive. We're going to use our source material to really unpack Anything Goes. From how it even started, which was, well, pretty messy, through its development, the actual performances, the reception.
And all those revivals over the years. It's been reimagined quite a few times.
Right. We want to trace that whole journey. And think of this as sort of the first of maybe a few where we tackle other Porter shows down the line.
Yeah.
We've talked about maybe doing Can Can or Kiss Me Kate eventually.
Sounds great. So Anything Goes, 1934. Let's set that scene. What was happening in the U.S. back then?
Well, it was grim, mostly. The country was right in the thick of the Great Depression.
Yeah, breadlines, banks failing, mass unemployment. Just a really tough time for most people.
Exactly. Uncertainty was the everyday reality. Hardship was everywhere.
And yet Broadway was still going. Our source calls it a kind of glittering refuge, right? A place to escape the gloom for a few hours.
It was. But what's interesting about Anything Goes, and what our research really points out, is that it wasn't just escapism. It had this smart, satirical bite to it.
It wasn't afraid to poke fun at the society. It was entertaining.
Definitely. I mean, take Reno Sweeney, an evangelist who becomes a nightclub singer.
Right there, that's commentary. The lines blurring between, the sacred and the secular.
Yeah.
Baked right into the character.
And it nails that growing obsession with celebrity culture, even the weird romanticizing of gangsters back then.
Moonface Martin, public enemy number 13. And Billy basically becomes famous by accident, mistaken for a criminal. It's absurd.
And Porter's lyrics were just perfect for this. They took aim at everyone, high society, regular folks. Our source highlights how the title song itself isn't just catchy.
No, it's like a snapshot of the times, capturing that feeling that the old rules were crumbling, morals were loosening up.
That famous line our source pulls out. Good authors, too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words.
It's funny, but it also taps into a real anxiety people felt about things changing so fast.
Now, we do need to mention, and our material's clear on this, the original show had elements we'd find pretty offensive today.
Oh, for sure. Stereotypical depictions, especially of Chinese characters, and humor based on, well, ethnic and gender tropes common then, but jarring now.
And it's important, as our source notes, that recent revivals have really grappled with that. They've recast, changed dialogue, sometimes added framing to acknowledge the context.
Which is the right way to handle it. But despite those dated bits, the core themes performing a social role, trying to reinvent yourself, the silliness of class barriers, they still land, don't they?
They really do. So how did this whole thing even get started? The show's origin story is pretty wild itself.
It begins with the producer, Vinton Friedley. He'd been huge in the 20s, but by the early 30s.
He was in deep trouble, bankrupt. Apparently, our source says he was literally living on his yacht in the Caribbean to dodge creditors.
Talk about needing a hit.
Yeah.
And being stuck on a yacht maybe gave him the idea.
Seems like it. He dreamt up this musical set entirely on an ocean liner. Perfect for escapism, right? Glamour, romance, mix-ups, comedy.
All the ingredients. So he hired P.G. Wodehouse and Guy Bolton, big names in British humor, to write the book.
The working titles were A Bon Voyage, then Hard to Get. And the key thing about that first plot, it involved a bomb threat and a shipwreck.
Foreshadowing the problems to come. It was designed as pure screwball comedy, high farce.
And they brought in Cole Porter for the music and lyrics. He was already a star, known for that sophisticated, witty style. Everything seemed set.
Until reality intervened. Dramatically.
September 1934, the show's gearing up for rehearsals.
Yeah.
And then the SS Morro Castle catches fire just off the New Jersey coast.
Yep.
A terrible disaster.
Over 130 people died. It was headline news, a national tragedy.
Absolutely. And suddenly, a comedy featuring a shipwreck. It was just completely untenable. Public horror made it impossible.
So our research shows the entire plot had to be junked just weeks before they were supposed to open.
Total crisis for Friedley.
Hmm.
So he makes this incredibly bold, almost desperate move. He calls Howard Lindsay and Russell Krauss.
They were playwrights, sort of up and coming at that point.
Exactly. And their job,
Yeah.
rewrite the entire book from scratch in less than a month.
Wow. The pressure must have been immense.
Unbelievable. But they did it. They came up with a totally new story, kept the ocean liner setting, but swapped the shipwreck for this, well, this madcap plot.
Stowaways, gangsters in disguise, the nightclub singer who used to be an evangelist, all the elements we know now.
And here's where the title comes from, according to our source. Apparently, during one of these chaotic late-night production meetings, someone just threw up their hands and said,
At this point, anything goes.
exactly. And Porter heard it, and
Mhm.
something clicked. He supposedly went home that night, sat at his piano, and bam, wrote the title song.
Capturing that whole chaotic, anything can happen vibe of the production itself and, society at large.
It's an amazing turnaround. What could have been a total disaster became this legendary, effervescent show.
It really speaks to the sheer talent involved, and that creative team was something else.
Porter was already big, but our material suggests anything goes, took him to another level. It was just the perfect fit for his style.
And crucially, as our source points out, he wrote both music and lyrics. That gave him immense control.
He could tailor everything, write specifically for the performer's voices and strengths.
And the prime example is Ethel Merman, right? She was already making waves with that incredible voice and stage presence.
Oh, absolutely. Reno Sweeney feels tailor-made for her. Or maybe Merman defined Reno, it's hard to say.
Our research definitely highlights songs like I Get a Kick Out of You, You're the Top, Blow, Gabriel Blow. They were written for her to showcase that belt, that energy.
And Porter coached her, apparently. Told her to ditch traditional vibrato, go for that bold, direct sound. There's that famous story, maybe true, maybe not, that he told her never to take a singing lesson.
Said it would ruin her unique style. Love that.
The rest of the cast was stellar, too. William Gaxton as Billy Crocker, the charming stowaway.
And Victor Moore as Moonface Martin. His sort of deadpan comedy was the perfect foil for Merman's dynamism.
June Knight played Hope, the ingenue. And you look at the ensemble, our source notes, a young Charles Walters who became a director, and even Betty Grable was in there.
Wow, before she hit it big.
Yeah, and the whole backstage process sounds like controlled chaos. Porter writing songs last minute, scribbling lyrics. Apparently, You're the Top went through tons of revisions.
Trying out rhymes, loading it with those references, high culture, pop culture, all mixed together.
Bahama Gandhi and Mickey Mouse. Only Porter.
And Lindsay and Krauss, who'd been thrown together in this crisis, turned out to be this amazing writing team. The book they hammered out had all those snappy lines, double entendres, crazy situations.
It provided the perfect structure for Porter's songs to really shine. It started as a rescue mission, but became this incredible collaboration.
So the plot they ended up with, setting the SS American, heading to London.
And Act I kicks off with instant chaos. Billy Crocker stows away because he's fallen for Hope Harcourt.
But she's engaged to Lord Evelyn Oakley, the slightly stuffy English aristocrat.
Also on board, Billy's boss, the bit eccentric Elisha Whitney, and Reno Sweeney, Billy's friend, who's the ship's entertainer.
And Moonface Martin, public enemy, #13, hiding out, disguised as a clergyman.
It just spirals from there. Mistaken identities, people hiding, Billy constantly trying not to get caught.
Reno gets interested in Lord Evelyn, Hope's having second thoughts. Moonface tries to help Billy, but usually makes things worse.
It's classic farce. And
Yeah.
Act A builds to that massive title number.
Yeah.
Anything goes. The whole cast, this huge celebration of just letting loose.
Then in Act 2, the absurdity ramps up. Billy gets mistaken for a different, more dangerous gangster, and suddenly he's the ship's celebrity.
Reno gets her big number. Blow, Gabriel, blow. That amazing mock revival meeting showstopper.
And Moonface sings Be Like the Bluebird to Billy in the Brig, which is this hilariously earnest, slightly nonsensical advice song.
The romantic plots resolve. Lord Evelyn admits to a youthful indiscretion involving someone named Plum Blossom,
Which conveniently scandalizes Hope's mother enough to call off the wedding.
leaving hope free for Billy. And Reno ends up with Evelyn. Moonface somehow avoids jail.
It all wraps up neatly. 3 couples paired off, identities sorted, everyone's embraced a bit of chaos and found love or freedom.
And our source makes a good point. This structure, the mix of farce, romance, big production numbers, it really became a blueprint for American musical comedy moving forward.
Absolutely. And holding it all together is Porter's score. Those lyrics. Our research calls them encyclopedic, dazzlingly clever.
So packed with references, they're almost like a commentary on the culture of 1934.
You're the Top is the ultimate example, isn't it? It's just this list song dropping names from high art, low art, politics, products.
Mona Lisa, Mahatma Gandhi, Mickey Mouse, Bendel bonnets.
Waldorf salad, a Berlin ballad, Jimmy Durante's nose. It's brilliant because the audience got those references back then. It created the shared joke.
And it's flexible, too. Porter himself updated lines sometimes. Our source mentions modern revivals might swap an old reference like "You're cellophane" for something current like "You're a TED Talk."
Keeps it fresh while preserving the spirit. And the music itself, it's that perfect blend of Broadway tradition and jazz age energy.
You hear the syncopation, the swing, and anything goes, but then you get the gorgeous melody of "All Through the Night."
Our research mentions Hans Spielek's orchestrations using reeds and muted brass and a strong rhythm section for a sound that was big but also bright and agile.
Plus you have songs like "Friendship," pure comic patter, and "Easy to Love," which, amazingly, was cut originally.
Hard to believe now, it feels essential. But it shows how the score evolved even after opening, finding its way into films and revivals later.
It's just clear how much the music and lyrics do in this show. They define the characters, set the tone, build that whole comic universe.
So putting this chaotic masterpiece on stage, rehearsals must have been insane.
Sounds like it. Our source says they started rehearsals while Lindsay and Krause were still literally writing scenes, performers learning dances for scenes that didn't have dialogue yet.
And Merman just soaked it all up. That story about her learning anything goes basically overnight.
Incredible ear, no formal training, but she just got it instantly.
The choreographer, Robert Alton, must have been tearing his hair out. Hired the chorus before the script was done, constantly changing tap routines.
Our material even mentions a chorus boy fainting during Blow, Gabriel, Blow rehearsals. They had to restage around him.
And Porter was tinkering constantly, right?
Yeah.
Making changes every night, testing lyrics during the Boston tryout.
That's where that famous review came from, the one calling the plot thinner than a clam-baked clam, but the songs fatter than the Follies.
A backhanded compliment, but it points to the score's overwhelming strength.
So they finally get to New York, Alvin Theater, November 21st, 1934, opening night, packed house, socialites, critics, probably some nervous investors.
And the reaction? Electric, apparently. Our source says the audience went wild for Merman's first number, huge applause after "You're the Top."
The critics loved it too. Brooks Atkinson called it giddy, tuneful, and deliciously improbable. Variety hailed it as a triumph.
It was the first big hit for Lindsay and Krause as a duo, and it just cemented Porter's status as the king of Broadway composers and lyricists.
And it had legs. Ran 420 performances, pretty great for the Depression era.
Then it went everywhere. National tours, London in '35.
And the songs just exploded onto the radio, into popular culture. "You're the Top, I get a kick out of you." They became instant standards.
Our material has some nice backstage tidbits too. Merman talking about Porter coaching her phrasing, Gaxton and Moore working out their comic bits, adding lines that stuck.
It's interesting, too, how academics look back at it now. They see the escapism, sure, but also maybe a reflection of deeper anxieties.
Yeah, like the commentary on fame, lawlessness, class. Our research suggests those reversals in the plot kind of mirror how people felt about traditional authority figures maybe not being so reliable anymore in the 30s.
But mostly, for the audience then, it was just pure joy, a chance to laugh and forget the tough times outside.
Getting that stage magic onto film, though, that proved harder. Our source says the specific theatricality didn't translate easily.
The 1936 movie with Bing Crosby and Merman cut a lot of songs, changed the plot.
Right.
Critics felt it lost the sharp wit.
And the 1956 film, also Crosby but with Donald O'Connor and Mitzi Gaynor, even less of the original score. Porter wrote some new songs for it, like "De Lovely." The plot was way off.
Even a TV version in '54 with Sinatra and Merman was condensed.
So our source argues it was really the stage revivals that kept the show's integrity alive, proving how important the actual staging was.
And there have been some really significant revivals over the decades.
Right, like the 1962 off-Broadway one, more stripped down, focused on the songs. And our research shows this is where they started adding other Porter hits into the show, like "It's De Lovely."
And the big one, 1987, Lincoln Center, Jerry Zaks directing, Patti LuPone starring.
Yeah, that one was huge. Full-scale, revised book by Timothy Krause, Russell's son, and John Weidman, found that perfect balance between 30s style and modern pacing. LuPone was sensational. Won Tonys, really put the show back on the map as a major classic.
And then the 2011 Broadway revival with Sutton Foster, directed and choreographed by Kathleen Marshall.
Oh, that was fantastic. Pure glamour, incredible dancing, Marshall's choreography, especially the tap numbers, was just stunning. And Sutton Foster was brilliant as Reno. Won the Tony for it.
She even did it again in London in 2021, right after the pandemic lockdowns. Our source mentions it being called a joy bomb.
Which feels about right for this show. And while these revivals might tweak a joke here, add a song there, the core Porter score that stays, it's untouchable.
So yeah, nearly 100 years on, Anything Goes is still here, still being performed, still loved. Our material really emphasizes that it's not stuck in time, it keeps evolving.
Different performers find new things in Reno, from Merman's brassiness to Foster's nuance. The score works with different orchestrations, different stagings.
Scholars see it as genuinely important, a real turning point.
Yeah.
Our research frames it as helping create that template for American musical comedy, character-driven, witty, adaptable, influenced everybody from Rodgers and Hammerstein to Sondheim.
And it's just a blast to perform. That's why you see it done so often in schools, community theaters. Great roles, great songs, great fun.
And the themes, maybe they feel even more relevant now. The craziness of celebrity, performing identities, the world feeling upside down.
That sense that maybe laughter and, I don't know, a little bit of stylish chaos is the only way through. It still connects.
Our source quotes some heavy hitters admiring it. Sondheim talking about Porter's astonishing facility with rhyme and calling the show a pinnacle of musical wit.
And Ethan Morton saying it was the show that taught Broadway to laugh at itself. That's quite a legacy.
It's that unique mix, isn't it? Slapstick and sophistication, timeless tunes and topical jokes.
And the fact that it can be adapted, that directors can gently update the book while treasuring the score, that's key to its survival.
Maybe the most enduring thing, as our source suggests, is just that feeling it gives you, that defiant joy, especially knowing it came out of such hard times. The answer isn't giving up. It's putting on a show, being clever, maybe learning to tap dance.
It's quite a story, from a show almost sunk by disaster to this utterly unsinkable classic.
It really is. Still sparkling after all these years.
Which leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? How does a show literally born from crisis, reflecting all that chaos, manage to consistently deliver such pure, uncomplicated joy across almost a century? Something to think about.